Welcome to the Cult Classic Horror Show. Every week, you can have the conversations you've always wanted to have about the films you love.
Shut up!
We're gonna get you, not another peep.
Get rid of your distractions and prepare yourself.
Fold and lock your door. 5, 6, gonna crucifix.
You got a big surprise coming to you. You're not going anywhere.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cult Classic Horror Show. Danny Bonin here.
Scotty Bonin with you.
We are the Blood Brothers. And
you think you're all fancy in Colorado with your skinny jeans and your cheap shoes.
Ooh, I like
cheap shoes.
And your cheap shoes.
I like the Lecter voice.
Is that your Anthony Hopkins
That's
voice?
his Hannibal Lecter.
No, I
Anthony
can't
Hopkins
even
voice.
attempt to do that. It's just me stealing a line. I'm not
Clarice.
going to try to do a person.
Clarice. And your cheap shoes, Clarice.
You usually wear Old Spice, but not today.
You're wearing Avion skin
today.
cream. You're wearing Avion skin cream today.
I can smell your Axe body spray.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Old Spice.
I can smell your double pits to chesty. Wasn't that their ad campaign?
Yeah, the spray across thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I was not an Axe body spray.
Neither was I. How can a body spray take the place of deodorant that is like caked on and absorbs your sweat? A body spray don't do shit.
Body spray just makes you smell worse if you are trying to cover up sweat.
Yeah, can't do it.
I remember you walking through high school and you would hit a cloud of that shit.
Yeah, all the time.
You just
overpowering.
Gets in your teeth. You're just like, oh my God.
And people would use it to try to cover up like weed smell or something, and it just make it worse. They go in the car.
I had a buddy of mine used it in his car as cover up for weed, but also he just like used it just like a Glade. Like, you know, like, hold on before you get in my 96 Civic. And just whoosh,
yeah.
Oh my
exactly.
God, like I can't see, my eyes are burning.
That mixed with like weed and cigarette smoke, it'd be the worst. That's our friend Chad, he smoked tons of cigarettes and then he sprayed Clinique Happy around his car. And I'm like, dude, that just smells so bad.
Get my 96 Honda Civic. Check out my CD deck. It's got all kinds of landscapes on it, and it changes.
Dude,
oh God!
My CD deck was crazy. I remember it showed like the Twin Towers in New York before the tragedy happened.
Oh, did you get a new deck? I got a new deck, man. Yeah.
Oh, it's not a deck. It's a head unit, bro.
Knock that faceplate in the glove box before we go into class, man.
Hey.
Oh my God! Yes, the pop-off faceplate that sometimes went back on easily. Sometimes you could never get it back on.
Thing won't go back on.
No.
Grab my book.
Bro. Look,
200 CDs.
There's dolphins swimming, bro. Oh my God!
I just got fucking 210 Rockford Fosgates in the back.
Yeah, no one has subs anymore.
They're not bolted down. Whenever I turn, they just slam up against the sides of the car.
That's how mine was. My shit always.
I had Soliberic. I had Soliberic kickers.
Oh, I had Wolfenhagen.
I had Fosgates, Rockford Fosgates, two 10s.
Then after that, I had JL Audios.
JL Audios. That's my second round. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I had two 12 Soliberic kickers and a single cab pickup. When those things went off, man, it just felt like it felt like there's no air left in that little truck.
Yeah.
You had to like crack the windows. Like, I can't breathe, man. The bass is so intense.
That was the thing back in the day.
It's like fucking Key and Peele with the what the fuck is that skit they're doing for
the dubstep.
Dubstep, yeah.
Yep. He ends up yanking his own teeth out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
man.
if you're getting too old to where, oh, no. I see what you're saying. No, put it back on. And he just like breaks all the shit, throws himself out of the apartment.
Oh, get ready for the drop. Excuse me, the drop? The drop?
Oh,
Oh, Silence of the Lambs.
Silence.
First of all,
the Silence of the Lambs.
First of all, I will talk about this again at the end. Before we jump into Silence of the Lambs, I do want to suck S. Craig Zoller's dick. He is my new favorite filmmaker at the moment because both of his movies are my most favorite films at the moment, which is Bone Tomahawk and Brawl in Cell Block 99. So if you already know by listening to the podcast that if you have not seen Bone Tomahawk, you need to, and you're an idiot if you haven't.
Yes, we've been talking about that the last few weeks.
And I just watched Brawl in Cell Block 99 this week, and oh my fucking God, I came my pants.
Rob and I are going to have to watch it this week, and then we'll have to discuss it next week.
Everyone needs to watch both of those movies stat. They're both on Amazon Prime. Anyways.
As Craig Zoller, man. Up and coming. Up and coming. Filmmaker.
All right. Silence of the Lambs.
The Silence of the Lambs, 1991.
Here we go.
You will tell me, Clarice, when those lambs stop screaming, won't you?
I can't picture Hannibal Lecter. It's hard for me to picture him without picturing Stewie Griffin. It's like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, for sure.
It's like his character was based off of that.
Yeah.
A lot of it. Anyways.
I think he actually was.
Yeah.
When Anthony Hopkins' agent called him about doing this part, Hopkins thought it was going to be a children's movie because of the title.
Silence of the Lambs.
But obviously, it wasn't. It does kind of sound like that. Oh.
I know, Rob, that you on a weekly basis tuck your junk in and stand in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how I court my wife.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not in front of the mirror. It's in front of her. I just step out of the bathroom, out of the shower, have it all tucked, and just, would you fuck me, Panda? I'd fuck me. And then she just rolls over and is like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, get you.
And then she'll mutter something about how this marriage is over, and
Then it's another.
That's what happens.
Night.
I mean, it's the life we live.
Get your inner James Gum, Ted Levine,
and then you do that, and you jump out of the bathroom tucked, and you don't realize it. Your kids are there, and they run away screaming.
Yeah, what's going on? All I see is hair. All I see is pubic hair. Just a bush.
Screaming at them. There's no locked doors in this house.
Yeah. We are not hiding anything from anyone in this house.
If Rob did that, first of all, I just picture like a tumbleweed of pubic hair around.
Oh, more than
Rob's
that. It's like freaking
private area,
trees beyond trees.
Like you just can't even see his hips.
Yes,
like 10 tumbleweeds combined into one. That's all I see.
Yes. So
Ted Levine was a little shaved though. He was a little more shaved.
He was a little hairy. Some bush there.
Or James Gum, whatever you want to say. His character's name.
I have a lot of.
I have a lot of facts for this. If you guys want to let me know.
I watched this whole behind the scenes documentary. It was an hour and a half on YouTube.
It's nice
because I did not. You can order the Criterion Collection Blu-ray, and it has like 4 featurettes and audio commentary.
Oh yeah,
I should have done that, but I didn't. I didn't do that.
I saw that on Amazon too.
I just want to one thing. When she's walking down the cell block hallway, after her first conversation with Anthony Hopkins, and she turns and is sort of like power walking away, and that Meigs dude is in there. Is that like cum that he flings on her face?
Yes,
I think so.
What that is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he can smell her cunt. That's what she says. That's what he says to her, and he gets all hot and horny. And by the time she leaves, he already has it ready.
He just turns around like Spider-Man and flings cum on her face, like perfect aim.
Yeah,
he's good. I mean, he's been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
And then Anthony Hopkins talks him into killing himself, swallowing his own tongue.
Another thing I'm proud of myself that I caught this first and then looked it up, is that George Romero plays an FBI agent.
Really?
I don't know if you guys saw that.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, it's a brief moment there when he's isolated in that museum or whatever, and he's in the cage in the middle of the room, and they come in to pull Clarice out of there.
Really?
He he's like on the left, and you just see his face for a second before he turns around, and I was like, "Is that George Romero?" And it was.
Nice. I wonder how he got in.
It's good to see he was getting some work back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some kind of cameo, or I mean, they were in Pittsburgh, so
Yeah, they filmed this all in Pennsylvania.
that's like his stomping ground.
Yeah, that's his area.
They did film some in Washington D.C.
I didn't mean
Or
to say the C word.
Washington.
By the way, it's all in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Just clarifying that for you ladies out there.
Okay.
We don't want to upset our listeners.
Exactly.
Pal.
Yeah.
We're such a clean podcast.
Yes.
By C word, I meant Clarice. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so what do you want to start with some movie stuff or fackies?
Well, they did. I mean, huge success. 273 million worldwide box office, 19 million budget. Just out of nowhere.
And they made what the budget was in their first week of releasing this film too.
Yeah. So this all started with it was a book by Harris.
Thomas Harris.
Thomas Harris. That actually Jodie Foster read and was she actually wanted to create this movie. And when she went to see if she could, Gene Hackman had already optioned the book for a film and was looking for a screenwriter and trying to assemble this project. And so he did. He got so she just basically said, "Well, just so you know, I'd love to play this part," and put her hat in the ring there. And so Gene Hackman was on it, and he hired Ted Talley to write the screenplay, who had no published screenplays or I guess filmed screenplays yet to his name. But he was able to pitch Gene Hackman and really convince him that he would be the right person to do it. So he did an outline for the movie and submitted to him. And then before moving forward, Gene Hackman dropped the project. Said that his daughter talked him out of it. She said it was too violent, too gruesome.
That and financing fell through too, I think. And
really?
That's what it says on the wiki.
Well, because they had, I don't know if financing fell through, because Orion is the studio behind this film. And they were on board with Gene Hackman and Ted Talley, and Gene Hackman dropped out, and so Orion and Ted Talley moved forward.
His daughter just messed with him. God, what the heck?
He probably disowned her after he won all the Oscars.
Yeah. After what all the Oscars went
you stupid bitch.
To do $300 million in
Gene
1990.
Hackman yelling in his intense
Crimson Tide.
Not Crimson Tide. What the fuck is the Western?
The
Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead. Yeah.
Isn't he? Is he also in Unforgiven?
I think.
Yeah, he
so.
was the sheriff in Unforgiven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I
right.
could see him yelling.
Good old Costner, right?
Damn you, daughter! I should not have listened to you.
Eastwood.
Oh, Eastwood. God damn it.
He's not as good as Costner, but he's there.
Quick and the Dead is really good, by the way. Even though DiCaprio, he's okay in it. DiCaprio's okay.
He's younger. Sharon Stone is in it. Anyways,
so yeah, I can just see him yelling at his daughter until she curls into a corner.
but Orion Pictures told Talley to keep writing, right?
Yeah. Well,
assuring Talley to keep writing, and the studio took care of it.
Yeah. So they hired Jonathan Demme, who was sort of a first timer. He had just directed some Roger Corman flicks, those B horror movies, and actually Corman was in this too as the FBI director. So, anyways, yeah, Jonathan Demme picked it up and moved forward, and then they had this super long casting process on this movie that no one could agree on who they wanted. It started. They went through all the A-list talent, I guess. Possible. First of all, possible Buffalo Bill. Oh no, sorry. We could talk about that. Michelle Pfeiffer was who they wanted first. Michelle Pfeiffer and Sean Connery is who they first wanted for the duo of Clarice and Hannibal.
Yeah.
Yes, Clarice. Oh, you smell of haggis.
Clarice.
Indy.
Yeah. No, Clarice, run. Seek within yourself, Clarice. Seek out an old patient of mine.
You just sound
Moffat.
like you had the Star Trek lisp.
I used to sliver with some
He's
fava
got,
beans and a nice Chianti.
he's got like a Scottish
He does
lisp.
sort of.
He is Scottish.
He does sort of. I ate his liver.
With some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Cut, Sean. You're saying Chianti wrong. Chianti. Cut.
Chianti.
Chianti. It's Chianti. Chianti. No. No, I love Hopkins.
Bastard! I was in the Untouchables with Kevin Costner.
That's what it is. Untouchables. Yep, that's right. Unforgiven and Untouchables. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
That's what your wife said last night, Trebek.
Yeah, I'll take the penis mightier for 20.
What's the condom? There's like he says condom something for.
I can't remember all of them.
The penis
I'll take S words for 100.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's a big hat. Yeah.
Got it.
Anyways,
But Michelle Pfeiffer turned it down.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, she turned it down because she thought it was going to be too dark for her to live in that space for a few months.
Buckfutter.
And Michelle Pfeiffer said it was a difficult decision, but got nervous about the subject matter.
All I can think about is
Buckfutter?
Connery's Jeopardy right now.
We need to watch SNL Jeopardy with
plays
Sean
it in
Connery.
that? Phil Hartman? Is that who plays Connery?
No.
There's like several people that play him over the years. I just
The one you're
remember
talking
that.
about is I forgot what his name is.
That's not what your
Whatever
mother was saying
Lamar?
last night, Trebek.
What the fuck's his name?
I can't think of it.
It's not Phil Hartman.
No, it's not Phil Hartman.
Maybe I'm picturing.
Phil
the wrong
Hartman's
person.
been in a lot of them, but I can't remember the guy that does Connery.
I have a picture of him right here. I just can't.
Show me.
Well, it's here. No, there it is. Oh yeah, it's Daryl Hammond.
Daryl Hammond.
Yeah,
That's
Daryl
okay,
Hammond.
That's who I was
Yep.
thinking of. I get Phil Lamar and Daryl Hammond mixed up, actually.
Phil Lamar?
Yeah,
Isn't he black?
Yeah, he is black.
Daryl Hammond's not black.
I just get the names mixed up, is what it
Yeah.
is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Daryl Hammond. Yep.
So
They all look alike to you, don't they, Danny? The Scottish.
even the black, the blacks and the Scottish. Yep.
Yep.
Gina Davis was another one that they
No, that wouldn't have worked.
thought of for that.
Nah. Nope.
And then after Sean Connery, they did want Jack Nicholson was up.
Mm-hmm.
They
You can
said
pull it off.
Jack Nicholson just would have been sitting there grinning, lifting his eyebrows up. Wouldn't be
They
like,
said-
He would have been good.
they said that they heard back. Connery said no. They said they never really heard back from Nicholson because what were the words? They said because everyone sends him movies and it's not his fault you send him a movie and he'll get back to you when he wants to.
Really?
Yeah.
So his agent doesn't deal with it? He just deals with
I
it.
don't even know.
Yeah.
And De Niro, Hoffman,
Pacino.
and Jeremy Irons.
I got
another.
I have Pacino here too, and Daniel Day-Lewis actually.
Oh,
and
Daniel
Derek Jacobi.
Day-Lewis. I think I could actually see Jeremy Irons doing this one.
I can see Jeremy Irons. I could not see Pacino.
Yeah, no. I couldn't.
Clarice, you're going to go down to that self-storage unit and you're going to open it up wide.
Yeah.
And Meg Ryan as Clarice Starling just scared out of her mind.
Why are you yelling? Stop yelling.
I really think that they hit
I
it.
wish they would have casted Pacino and then recasted like they did, like they do a lot of movies, just to have got some of the reels. Like, okay, Al, we're gonna wall you up. We're gonna cage you and just let you go. I'm coming off my seams here. What is this cage?
I'm coming apart. That would have been Josh Brolin, or not Josh Brolin. James
Tommy
Brolin.
Wiseau.
James Brolin playing it.
Tommy Wiseau is Hannibal Lecter.
Clarice.
Well, that's
Clarice, come over here.
That's you're tearing me apart, Lisa.
You're tearing me apart, Clarice.
I'm doing the Amityville. I'm coming apart.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Damn, I wish Al Pacino was in this for a little. I mean, I love
know.
Hopkins, but God, I
They
think
did-
Al Pacino would have killed it.
They did really strike gold with Hopkins, though. He was not totally unknown, but not not a box office star by any means before he was cast in this. And this was where the director, Demi, really wanted Anthony Hopkins and was very unsure about Jodie Foster.
He saw Hopkins in The Elephant Man and loved his performance. Like, okay, we need to see that guy.
And the studio, the guy at the studio, I didn't write his name down, at Orion, really wanted Foster, but didn't want to go with Anthony Hopkins. Didn't think he was a big enough box office draw.
Mike Medavoy, I think that's what it was.
Yeah. So they ultimately compromised, and the studio just said, "Look, you can have Hopkins if we can have Foster." And he's like, "Okay, fine." And they did that.
And like Jodie Foster was like obsessed with this role. She read the book, and she just had so much passion towards it. And so they, kind of, I think that helped with her cause too. How she just like read up on it, was obsessed with it, and and she was up and coming too. Yeah. I mean, she just won an Academy Award for her performance in The Accused in 1988. So she was coming off of that, but that was a kind of a different type of movie, and they didn't know if she could handle this type of part. But
I guess before this, Anthony Hopkins had basically given up on film acting. He had done a few movies, like the last two before it was The Bounty and some other movie, and they both had like huge budgets and did super poor in the box office. And so he was like, I'm going back to London and doing plays because I guess I don't belong in film. Both movies tanked, and so he was actually in London doing a play when his agent was like, "Hey, they want you to at least read for this part, and or they're looking at you for this part." And it wasn't an offer yet because the director, they were still arguing with the studio, and then he did it, and it pretty much brought his career all the way back to the top. Yeah. Obviously,
God, he was so good in it.
So yeah,
Connery's going to be a contender here, Tony. Anthony's not that bastard. Oh, so I see you contacted Tony, you backstabbers.
Indy. That's all I can say.
No. We're not doing that. We're not doing. No, Sean.
Indy.
No.
Indy.
When are we going to make that Highlander Part 4 I've been hearing about? Return of the Spaniard.
So yeah, they got
Hopkins.
Yeah, and they were both a little nervous about it when they got on set. I mean, I guess Jodie Foster's first take, the director, wasn't his first choice, so she does her first take, and she wasn't really using the accent. And he's like, "What? No, this sounds like just a normal California girl." He went up, he's like, where's the accent? And Jodie Foster had thought so much about this part and read in the book that really in the book Hannibal is the only one that picks up on the accent, and so she was trying to do it super subtly, and
because she normally has a southern accent,
and the director's like, no, and she's like, well, I know I can do the accent, let's just do the take again. And then they did it, and the director's like, oh yes, that's exactly what I wanted.
Keep her southern. Yeah, that really.
So. And
just one generation from poor white trash.
And he Anthony Hopkins didn't even come on set till like a month after they had been filming, because his stuff was later, and that's where they said a lot of the magic happened. Is once he got there, it was just it was magical.
Yeah. I guess Jodie Foster claims that during their first meeting of Lecter and Starling, that Hopkins mocked her southern accent as an improvised scene, like on the spot. And Foster was like taken back and was horrified, and there was a genuine reaction, and they kept that shot. So she later thanked Hopkins for generating such an honest reaction.
Said she was pissed about it.
Yeah, she was mad, but then it naturally was good,
She's like, here's this other actor making fun of my accent.
Was your father a coal miner? Does he stink of the lamp?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen this movie, Rob?
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
It's a great movie. It's such a good movie.
My mom had this movie through Columbia House long time ago. For you young listeners, don't even know what Columbia House is. And I remember this movie and Army of Darkness and a whole bunch of others came in on VHS. And I probably watched Silence of the Lambs 50, 60 times before I was 18 years old.
Because
I don't know how many times I watched it now, because like my wife, the panda, she grew up in the middle of nowhere, and her family were like diehard evangelicals.
Yeah.
And so like she didn't even celebrate Halloween. So she had never seen like Silence of the Lambs, at all. 0 times. And I played it for her one time, and now she loves this movie. And every time, she'll just, I guess kind of like how I am with Army of Darkness. I don't need an excuse. It's like, you want to watch Army? Yes. Yes. Put
it in.
Yes, I want to watch.
Never gets old.
Silence of the Lambs is like that for her. She's like, I want to watch like, yes, okay, we go. Because honestly, she's in love with Anthony Hopkins. I'm like, he'll eat you. She's like, I don't care. He's hot. This middle-aged, balding guy in a
back
jumpsuit.
hair.
Yeah, she just thinks he's hot.
So you had this on VHS, or your mom did.
Oh yeah,
we had it on VHS. You just put the tape in, you rewind it, and watch it again.
I think it was one of my first DVDs too that I ever bought. Was silent. Digital video
now
disc.
Out on DVD.
The sound, the video. Get yours now. Rambo Part 3 coming soon to DVD.
I love hearing Rob quote this movie. It's freaking awesome. Yeah.
Did you nurse Catherine? What?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, that's right. Catherine. Yeah. Did you nurse Catherine? Because she's the senator.
Toughened your
mom.
nipples, did take this thing back to Baltimore.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Such a good movie.
One more thing. There's a very nice suit you're wearing, or something like that.
One more thing, Senator. Love your suit.
Love your suit.
Love your suit. Yes.
It's just so good. And the best part about this movie to me, the sequels are not near as good, but like this Anthony Hopkins stuck with this.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster threw it away. She didn't want any more of it. But I mean, Anthony Hopkins, and like what Danny was saying, was he had done some movies before, but some of the stuff I've read, some of the documentaries I've seen, is that he really burned a lot of bridges. He did some movies that didn't make very much money at all in the box office, and it either was a rumor or was true that he became impossible to work with, and he burned a whole bunch of bridges. And they got him like fairly cheap. Because Jodie Foster already won an Academy Award. Sam Elliott, the FBI director, there were some big names.
Sam
in this.
Elliott.
Who was it?
It was
Jonathan Demme.
No. The FBI guy was
Scott Glenn.
Scott Glenn.
And he plays. He doesn't look like Scott Glenn. He's all clean cut and proper. I mean, these people had some money attached to them, and from some of the documentaries I've seen, some of the things I've read, they liked Anthony, but they were like, this guy could be kind of a risk. And then he just gets there, and from some of the interviews I've seen with him, is he's come out, he's like, some actors just wing it, they just go with it. He doesn't.
No.
Supposedly he was fully immersed in this character.
He says that he literally studies a portion. He takes the script portion by portion, studying each portion up to 200 times over and over again, and that's how he gets to know the character. And then he also knows that he knows it really well.
Oh yeah. Well, he also studied files of serial killers. He visited prisons and studied convicted murderers, and was present during some court hearings concerning gruesome murders and serial killings. And so he went crazy over this part, and obviously it shows. Same as Scott Glenn too, because Gene Hackman was supposed to play that part.
Scott
right?
Glenn, no, Gene Hackman was going to play Hannibal.
I thought Gene Hackman was going to play the
no
Crawford.
He wanted to play Hannibal.
Why isn't the Wikipedia is wrong?
Well, no, that's what I saw in the documentary.
Okay, well, yeah.
Scott Glenn and Jodie Foster, and also, God, was there one? Maybe just the two of them. Actually did training at Quantico, the FBI training facility, and then they shot the training sequences at Quantico too. And this is one of the first films to use that as a location, because the FBI was indeed trying to get more women recruits. And so Jodie Foster worked with trained alongside one of the only women recruits that was currently going there at the moment, and she taught her a lot and everything.
Nice.
So,
God.
yeah. And the same with Scott Glenn. He attached himself to an agent, and I forgot the agent's name, who was like a pioneer in the serial killer profiling and had some success tracking down some killers. He probably most notably Gary Ridgway.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, God, yeah. They were saying that they showed like Scott Glenn because he went in. I have the guy's name here. It was the guy that they actually filmed a lot of it at the Quantico Center. Yeah. And they said they showed him like film of these guys like raping a 16-year-old or stuff like that, to like get him in character. And he actually like cried, and his whole stance on like the death sentence changed and stuff. And so it was real stuff, that they went through to get these characters down. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Oh my God! What the
sakes
hell?
Alive.
Speak of the devil.
Oh, that means it's time for the horror halftime. Not a lot of participants. Maybe you guys messed up like Rob did because he didn't hashtag his meme right.
I did. We went through
happened?
this in the pre-show.
Yeah, we did go through this in the pre-show. You blatantly lied about tagging your meme right. You didn't spell horror halftime correctly.
Let's just cut to the chase. What did I win?
How could you not spell horror halftime correctly?
Rob, as part of the podcast, you can't win the horror halftime.
I can
No.
I want a hoodie.
Oh, a hoodie?
I want a hoodie this time.
I don't think we make hoodies. I don't think we make hoodies in 10XL.
Okay, I'm slimming down. I'm only in a 3 now. Okay.
Aren't you always in a 3? That's why I sent you poolside, didn't I?
Yeah, poolside one rocks, dude.
You like that hoodie?
I love that hoodie. I got the. I don't have the same design in the shirt. I got the
branches.
Yeah. Well, no. The hoodies and the branches. I got the
ATF.
Whatever.
Shirt.
Yeah, I got the PATF shirt that I rock, and I got a sticker for my truck.
That's right. I just ordered a new type of sticker too, a different logo.
Which one is that?
The one that's like on our profile page, the profile picture on our page.
Nice.
For Cult Classic or for poolside?
No, for poolside. For poolside. Sorry.
Ooh.
What? Do you like the quality of that poolside hoodie? Is it good quality?
Actually, it's awesome. I've washed it like 3 or 4 times, and
no fading.
No fading, and the print is the way they did the print is cool because it goes like from the collarbone all the way down, and they actually printed over the pockets.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, we'll
so
stop talking. Yeah,
it was awesome. But no, I need a Cult Classic.
Yeah, we need
a Cult Classic horror hoodie there.
Make some Cult Classic horror zip ups because those are the zip ups that.
Zip ups are baller.
Zip ups they're just easier to put on.
I had to get those from a different vendor than our normal vendor. So we do sell Cult Classic horror pullovers in the in the horror store, but we need to link up with that other vendor and get the zip ups on there. They're a little more expensive, but they're worth it.
Awesome. And y'all need to go to the horror store and get some shit.
Yeah. Store.cultclassichorror.com. I don't know if you...
So Manhunter. No memes for Manhunter?
Only a few. Only a few memes.
Oh, okay.
We're just going to go ahead and give the win to... Ty and Draco. Ty,
he hasn't won in a while.
Ty, I know Ty's technically
like every week.
Technically a blogger of ours, but which almost disqualifies him from winning the horror halftime. But since him and Lansdale were the ones that participated and Lance won last week, we'll just go ahead and give it to Ty. Although he might own everything CCH already. Well, T-shirts and... maybe we'll test the hoodie out on him. Although that's a high ticket item for a Cult Classic horror win. You know what I got here at my house that I don't even know if he would be interested in is like a black and white portrait of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh yeah.
Why do you have that
on a canvas? I ordered some serial killer canvases to send to a couple podcasts to see if they would give us a shout out, and they made a mistake and sent me 2 Dahmers instead of. It's a 3-piece canvas. They sent me 2 Dahmers instead of the Ed Gein, Ted Bundy, and Dahmer. And so now I have an extra Dahmer one, just single Dahmer canvas. So Ty, if you want a Dahmer canvas on your wall, I got it. But you don't have to take that.
But yeah,
it's pretty cool.
You might not want that,
cool.
but still.
Anyways, if not, we'll just get you something else. We'll just fucking, I don't know what.
Message us and tell us what you want.
Anyways, speaking of Ty, I know we're still in the horror halftime, but he did do an interview with a guy who I believe was the cinematographer for 1031, which is a horror anthology coming out, and also was on set for The Barn, which is a movie on Amazon. Actually, is it available on Amazon? I got to look at the link he sent me because I got to watch them both.
I think I got a screener link. I don't know if it's available.
Yeah, well, we got a screener link for 1031, but not for The Barn. So, but yeah, so we'll be releasing that shortly. Maybe this week. We'll see. I haven't scheduled all that out yet. So, but yes, Ty, horror freak of the week.
Yeah, Ty.
Cool. Get your memes in next week for Silence of the Lambs.
The Silence of the Lambs.
That's my.
What did you do, Clarice? I took her and I ran. It was so cold.
Are you about a size 14?
Was she a big old fat girl?
Silence of the Lambs. All right, that concludes the horror halftime. That was my Jim Carrey, by the way.
I kind of got that. Yeah, that was nice.
There's two Silence of the Lambs references in Dumb and Dumber. I just sort of realized that.
What's the other one?
The Chianti and Five.
Oh yeah,
Beans.
duh.
And
yeah.
then the Silence of the Lambs one with the whatever on his face, bacon or whatever.
That's an IOU for a Lamborghini. I would hold on to that.
Yeah, I'd hold on to that one.
Those are IOUs. Those are as good as cash.
Yeah,
those are IOUs. Those are as good as money.
That one.
That one, yeah, that one's for a red Lamborghini. I would hold on to that one. What was her name? Samsonite.
That's right here on the side.
There.
God,
I got a
way
fee,
off.
Lloyd. You just do it. Just go. Oh, that's warm.
you've had an extra set of
Just
gloves
go.
this whole time? Yeah, we're in the Rockies.
We're in the Rockies.
I could just sit here quoting the movie.
We could quote that movie like Rob's quoting Silence of the
Our
Lambs.
birds' heads are falling off.
Yeah, he was pretty old.
Petey, he was pretty old.
His head fell off.
Did you pay the gas bill? You idiot.
They gave a decapitated bird to a blind kid. No, these guys are pros. That's a sign.
Yeah.
Anyways, where am I? My notes here. I got us. Okay, here we go. I already said it was shot at Quantico. The cell block was they shot at locations. I was sort of going to talk about. They shot at Quantico. They shot at the actual house in Pittsburgh. But then they did build a set for the basement of the house for sort of the labyrinth of Buffalo Bill, and also for the cell block that Cell Block Brawl and Cell Block 99.
Why do they call him Buffalo Bill, Danny?
Because he would skin the humps of the buffaloes. Not him,
No.
but that's what they said in the movie.
Because Buffalo Bill
joke.
would do that.
It was a bad joke in Memphis PD.
That's what it
They
was.
said this one likes to skin his humps.
Humps, that is what it is. Because Buffalo
Nailed it!
Bill skinned his humps.
Ted
Buffalo
Levine
humps.
was awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
I have to
Ted is.
He's creepy,
He
man.
really let himself go
He's
after
good.
this. He's got that gut going on, and Hills Have Eyes. Hills Have Eyes.
He's
not
in the Hills
remake.
of Eyes. Well, no, it is
It is the remake.
the remake.
Okay,
yeah,
remake.
Yeah, it is the remake. Yeah, no, but still, it's. I suppose this did really make his career, Ted Levine.
Wow.
But
Why can't I picture the dad in the first Hills Have Eyes, the original?
I don't.
He was some older guy. He wasn't really well
Why
known.
can't I-
I don't think.
Can't picture.
It's
him
just
now.
because Ted Levine steals everything. His
Yeah.
voice,
Oh, yeah.
this big kind of like he's gotten bigger, like for sure. But his voice is so dumpy sounding almost.
Yeah.
But it's still scary.
Yeah.
Like it's not like goofy sounding. It's just like this kind of weird accent he has. But like in Silence of the Lambs, that's what did it. But his voice is terrifying. Like
Yeah.
he wouldn't be a scary person except every time you see him, you're thinking Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
He's in the Alienist, that new series that's on. Yeah, I've seen previews for that, and I'm like, oh, Ted Levine.
So they built that whole basement labyrinth. It's a 2-story set, so that they could the basement floor was on the second story of the set, and then the well went down into the bottom story of the set, and then there was a hatch you could go in, up a ladder through a little hatch into the well, and then they'd have to cover it with dirt once she was in there. And I guess for Brooke, that was the girl who played Claire. It was a pain in the ass. She had to go pee or something. Mm-hmm. She just spent hours in there. Same with Anthony Hopkins in his cell.
I would say didn't they actually like lock him in thing for hours?
They had to bolt the plexiglass onto the set once he was in there, and he'd just sort of hang out in there. And the way that they shot this movie, which is a whole, we could discuss that too, is unique. All these POV shots and handheld shots and directly to the camera, to the actors. So Jodie Foster said that he spends all this time in that room, so that she doesn't talk. Her and Anthony Hopkins didn't talk that much. And then even when they're talking to each other, it's basically the actor looking into the camera, and she's like behind the camera giving her lines, and so it's almost like they weren't having a conversation either. So
because the way the cell was built, you couldn't have it. You couldn't get the different angles. You'd have to have one camera in the cell with Hopkins and him interacting with it, a camera on the outside. So it's pretty incredible how intense him and Clarice came off when a lot of the super intense scenes, like you said, he was just staring at a camera, or there's just a camera off to his side, and he was just trying to be in the zone.
Yeah, and they couldn't have done all those shots if they filmed on location in a cell, because the walls were able to fly away, so they had all these angles they couldn't get. There's a couple angles in his cell that comes from above, and if there was a ceiling on that, you wouldn't be able to get those like that. And I guess in the book there are bars for the cell, and then sort of like a netting to keep him in there, to keep him from reaching out and stuff. And they couldn't do that because obviously the netting would get in the way of the view of the camera, of the actors looking at each other. So they thought up of the designer thought up of the plexiglass type thing with the air holes in it.
Guys, he can still smell so good out of those. Yeah. His scent is awesome out of those air holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were saying he got his he really blinks in it as Hannibal Lecter, and he got that from one of his London friends. And I was like, actually, I was looking at some of this and watched the movie, and every time he talks, he barely blinks at all. I don't know if you guys notice that his eyes just do so much of the talking to you, which is crazy. But yeah, it's crazy how they filmed, and then they moved him to the other cell. This is like in the middle of like a library, and that's where all the shit went down.
What else was a 2-story set in a gym? Evil Dead 2. So there's my tie-in. Evil Dead 2, 2-story set in a gym.
Even though you...
There it is. Even though this one wasn't in a gym. They actually had a... was it GE? Some big company had a turbine building warehouse, and they shut it down. Then they were able to rent it out, but it had no heat. It was like the coldest winter in recent memory in Pittsburgh, 14 below.
Yeah.
So it was a huge pain in the ass. Oh, look, Ty just texted me saying, hey, just found out that screener I sent you for the barn. Oh, it was a screener for the barn. It was only 15 minutes long. It is a full-length feature film. That was just a bad copy.
Not boding too well for the barn here.
No. He really, really wants us to see the barn.
The barn.
Yeah, I don't know.
If this is some kind of play on words and there is not an actual barn in this movie, I'm going to be pissed.
I don't think it's available streaming. I think that's what he said. You have to actually order the Blu-ray or the DVD.
Huh.
So
that must mean it's not well known enough to be streaming. What the heck?
Yeah, he just
Underground.
He just said,
movie.
I borrowed the barn on DVD from someone, but that 1031 screener is the one I watched. So
is it a newer movie?
I got the 1030. Yeah, I think it is. I got the 1031 screener, and we gotta watch the barn. I'm gonna text him back, say whatever. We're on the podcast still.
Yeah,
I'm talking about you heavily on the podcast.
You can text. We can text you back later, Ty. So I guess James Gumb is a combination of the three serial killers: Ed Gein, who skinned his victims; Ted Bundy, who used a cast on his hand to bait convinced women to get into this van; and Gary Heidnik, who kept women kidnapped in a pit, a well in his basement. So that's kind of how.
Sorry, what you said.
That's how they.
You mentioned Bundy and Heidnik.
Yeah.
They also obviously there's the Ed Gein.
Ed Gein, yeah,
because of the skin.
That's what I just mentioned him too.
Okay, yeah. Gein, Bundy, Heidnik. And then they used Bundy kind of as like a Hannibal Lecter character. They were talking to him to find and capture Gary Ridgway, and they kind of used that as a synopsis for this too. I think didn't they? I think if I might be totally remembering this incorrectly, so if I am, just ignore it.
For the Green River serial killings.
But I think that he said that Ted Bundy said he could help and stuff, and then they like took him out, and he just basically took him on wild goose chases.
Oh, really?
Like enjoyed his time out of prison.
I bet he did.
I think that's what happened. I'm not positive if I'm remembering it correctly, but I think he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll start over here. Let's go over here."
Yeah.
So,
but then Bundy was executed in '89, but then they finally found Ridgway in like 2001, right?
I'm not sure when they found him.
I know it was like in the 2000s. So that that's kind of weird. How that tied into the real life or the inspiration for this film a little bit too. The famous one we already talked about, the dance with the tucked in penis, I guess was not in the screenplay and just done on set by Ted Levine. But it's in the book.
And the director.
Yeah.
Thought, let's just put this in here. It is in the book?
Yeah, it's in the novel, but it wasn't in the screenplay.
Oh.
And Ted Levine insisted, who thought the scene was essential in defining the character. I guess he actually went and interviewed some transsexual guys at bars and stuff, at some gay clubs and whatnot, and
there was
talked to them.
Uproar when this released from the gay community about being portrayed wrong and negatively. And the director said he wasn't even giving it one single thought about sexuality. He was just thinking about Buffalo Bill hating himself and wanting to be someone different, and so choosing that as being different. Nowhere in the films that say he's gay at all.
No.
So
he's just disgusted with himself, and yeah.
But they had those special moths. So for those moths, they actually ordered some from wherever they come from, and
Asia.
As soon as they got to the to the cold climate of Pittsburgh, they all died right away. So they had all these dead moths, and the moth wrangler had to come up with something, and so they actually costumed the moths they used in it. It's basically he took a fingernail, like a fake fingernail, painted the death face, because they're called like death head moths or death face moths or something like that. Painted the face thing on the back and glued it to the back of the moth. But it was tricky because when the moths fly, their back sort of flexes. So they'd use some flexible glue, and they got it to work. But also the cold temperature, the moths wouldn't fly for as long as they needed them to because of how cold it was. So he also attached a couple to some fishing line, and they would flap while he, moved it around and everything. It looked like it was flying. God,
so they had that whole room with all those bugs in there and moths and butterflies and stuff. I love how they relate that to how that's one of his other fetishes. He loves skinning off people and then all these bugs and shit and stuff.
Yeah.
That fingernail on that well, even though we didn't see it. Even though we didn't see it, we saw it, and then you see.
Oh, that's my worst.
You see the dead girl. I forgot what her name was, but the victim that we see dead, the bigger one, we see her fingernails ripped off too. It's like
Ugh, it's the worst.
It is. It is the worst.
I can't. I know. I've seen the movie so many times. I know when it's coming up. I'm like, no.
Yep.
No,
when she looks up,
no.
It puts the lotion in the basket, please. It puts the lotion. Put the fucking lotion in the basket.
Yeah, I love when Levine breaks character when it comes to being like the sweet little guy or whatever, and then just, you don't know what pain is.
Yeah. And Levine did a lot of research on serial killers and psychos too for this role. And he didn't come in till like the very end. And so some of these people didn't know what to expect. And then they just said that he nailed it. Mm-hmm. So had all these piercings and had thought all this character up in his head, and that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy.
So that whole last scene was where it's sort of night vision in the labyrinth down in there, was actually done with sort of a green light coming from the camera. So Jodie Foster could see. It wasn't like she couldn't see, even though she did a good job of making you think she couldn't see. But the telltale, and I didn't notice this until they talked about it in the documentary, so I wouldn't have docked him for it. But I guess the one part that sort of messes it up is when he holds the gun out to her, you see the shadow from the gun and his arm on her back. And obviously, if it was night vision, there wouldn't be a shadow on her.
You can't cast a shadow.
Yeah. So that was the only sort of flub. And they all acknowledge it, and they cut away real fast. But it's there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But besides that, did a good job. When they released this, it was set to release before the end of the year, so it'd be able to be considered. It would have been right nearby Oscar season. But then they shelved it for a couple months because Orion had Dances with Wolves that came out, and they wanted to make that their Oscar bid, which it did. When I don't know what it won, but it won a couple things at the Oscars. Did it get Best Picture? I don't know.
It got Best Picture and it got Best Director for Kevin Costner.
You already know
that's right.
It's Costner.
Yes,
and this because this was filmed in 89 and it was completed by 90. So they was shelved because it wasn't released until February 1991.
Yeah, so it was like they released it on Valentine's Day of 1991, almost a full year before the next Oscars, which is what it would be considered in. So, yeah, they thought they had lost all hope of Oscars and everything. But they did say what helped them out is that right near Oscar season came around, or just before that, they came out on VHS with it, and they were able to, send VHS copies to the people voting for the Oscars, and they thought that helped.
Yeah, and this film and Silence of the Lambs won the Big Five for Academy Awards: Best Director, our Best Picture, Best Director.
Stella's trying to jump on the podcast.
Are you leaving?
Bye, Stella.
She's like Best Actor, Hopkins.
Bye. Come here, Stella. Come here. Come here.
Hi.
She's gonna. If you were on the pre-show, you know that Stella spent like 5 minutes staring at me like I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Well, she just woke up from a nap, so
and
she
now
was very
she's
weary,
finally wanting to come in and say hi.
very out of it. Now she's fully awake and 100% there.
So I apologize if she starts screaming.
Here she comes.
Oh yes.
So Stella, I was just telling them. So Silence of the Lambs won Best Picture, Best Director for Demi, Best Actor. So this was Hopkins' first Academy Award for Best Actor, right?
Yeah, what do you think about that, huh?
Yeah. And then Best Actress, Foster. So she won she won back-to-back Best Actress in The Accused and Silence of the Lambs within like a 3-year span. It's crazy.
And she was, fairly young, and I see her. She's a little more attractive to me now, but I remember when I first saw this, I was like, oh, I don't think she's attractive at all.
Yeah. And it won Best Adapted Screenplay from Ted Talley. So this is making it the only the third film in history to accomplish that feat. As of right now, I don't think anything else has. Do you guys know the other two?
Yeah,
films?
I don't know how updated that stat is or not. I know that the first, it was like a freaking...
It happened one night.
Yeah, that was the first one. Then it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was the one after that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it came out, just swept, did freaking awesome.
It is also the first Best Picture winner widely considered to be a horror film, quote unquote, and only the third film to be nominated in the category after The Exorcist and 1973 and Jaws 1975. I just have a super hard time picturing Exorcist at Academy Awards. It's so crazy. Nominated for Best Picture.
It's just so crazy. Yeah. I can't believe that. I would just love to see the clips like that they show during the Academy Awards, right? You know, when they're like, and up for Best Picture.
It's crazy.
They show like a portion of it. Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
And stabbing herself with a crucifix. God.
It's just insane. So...
But yeah, I mean, it was acclaimed success. It was awesome. You know, made what you said, $275 million in box office.
73 about, I think, worldwide. And so Gene Hackman's probably was just kicking himself after that.
Idiot.
He was kicking his daughter after that.
That's what it was. Yeah, he was basically beating her. But yeah, I think that covers Silence of the Lambs. We have decided that we are going to do Hannibal.
We got to bring Hopkins back, reprising the role. We got to
do
Lecter.
Hannibal. We're not going to do Red Dragon. I don't think. Well, no, we're not going to do Red Dragon because we've sort of already covered the storyline in Manhunter, which I should mention that. Yeah, that before we missed this, there were going to be other directors possibly taking on this film. And a lot of people didn't think it would work because Manhunter was sort of a failure at the box office. And the stupid thing is that Dino De Laurentiis, who produced Manhunter,
and he owned the name Hannibal Lecter,
had like first rights to anything else that Harris did to the next one, which would have been Silence of the Lambs. And he was like, "No, I don't want it." Manhunter didn't do shit. So yeah,
and De Laurentiis like had the rights to the name Hannibal Lecter, which were it was owned by him, but he like lent the character rights to Orion Pictures for free because he didn't think anything was going to happen with it, and they took it and ran with it, and obviously this happened. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Hackman dropped out.
So we are going to do Hannibal, just because there's some cool stuff in Hannibal. Some
10 years
blood,
later,
some gore, some
Ray Liotta, Julianne Moore,
Gary Oldman. We still have Anthony Hopkins. Jodie Foster didn't do it just because she. They were all set to be all on the next one. When after the success of Silence of the Lambs, the trio of Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, and Jonathan Demme were all. It was thought that they're all just going to be in on the next one whenever that happens. Mm-hmm. And then Harris released the book, and it just went in a total different direction that Jodie Foster and Demme didn't really vibe with Clarice being drugged and eating things herself, and and Jodie Foster just was like, I didn't see it going that way, so I didn't want to do it. So
I actually wanted to make a cool note here too. So Anthony Hopkins only had our 24 minutes and 52 seconds of screen time in this movie because it's all shot with him meeting Clarice, and I guess that's the second shortest to ever win an Academy Award for Best Actor. So it's kind of a weird fact there. Yeah. David Niven in Separate Tables beat him 23 minutes and 39 seconds.
Never seen it or heard of him.
Me neither. But
so we'll be doing Hannibal next week, and then we're going to wrap up this Cannibal series. We're going to do Hannibal, and then I know it's not super old, but we're going to do Ravenous, the original fucking Ravenous, because now there's some fucking Ravenous movie on Netflix.
Yeah, some horror that just came out.
I don't know why it's okay for people to just steal movie titles from the past. So that's dumb. So we're going to do the awesome Ravenous with Guy Pearce, and then whether you guys like it or not, we're doing Bone Tomahawk after that. We're doing
it's a cannibal movie.
I know it just came out in 2015, but I don't know. It's gonna be a classic. So you'll thank us. Your kids will thank us that we covered it on the CCH.
Your kids will thank us.
So that'll wrap it up. So we'll do Hannibal. We'll do, we'll do Ravenous, and then Bone
Tomahawk,
and then we'll be on to something else. So cool. So get those memes in for next week.
Yeah.
Hashtag Horror Halftime in the group or on Twitter. Tag us at CC Horror in your meme. And you can be entered to be Horror Freak of the Week. Did you guys watch anything this week?
The Silence of the Lambs. Cause I didn't watch Cell Block.
Because I watched Brawl and Cell Block 99.
Oh, I'll watch that tonight.
And guess what? Shannon watched it with me.
Did she like it?
I tricked her. I didn't trick her. I actually didn't. Well,
did she like it?
She says she didn't, but then again, she did watch the whole thing. So I'm
usually
getting mixed signals there because and you'll see it like the first over the top, like fucking injury that happens is sort of towards the beginning / middle, like beginning. It's a long movie. It's like a little over 2 hours, and and she could have just stopped watching at that point and gone upstairs because I told her at that point, I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I heard that it's a really brutal movie. And she's like, oh, well, I should just go upstairs. I was like, well, go upstairs if you want. But then she watched the whole thing. And so that has to tell you something.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was fucking awesome. I know it's technically not a horror movie, but I don't give a shit.
It's on IMDb's 12 most underrated movies of 2017.
It was so good. Vince Vaughn putting on 15 pounds of muscle and fucking some people up.
That sounds awesome.
I watched that. Did I watch any horror movie? Oh, I watched that Veronica that's on Netflix. It's in Spanish subtitles. Mm-hmm. It was all right. People have been
not
talking
gonna
about
happen. I'm not watching subtitles.
You've been watching subtitles anyways on all your movies.
Yeah, but it's on English movies. Like that's just to fill in like the small blanks. Like I'm not watching an entire movie in subtitles that I actually have to read.
Are you literally watching every movie now with subtitles?
Yeah, I watched Silence of the Lambs with subtitles, and I caught a couple of things in there I've missed.
And they're not distracting. Like you watch every movie with subtitles now.
No, it doesn't distract me. It's like we started rewatching Roseanne because the new one's coming out, and I was like, I want to see. I remember it as a kid. I want to rewatch it. I watch it with subtitles just on now. Oh, it's just now a thing.
Fuck cares about Roseanne?
Oh, I do. John Goodman's the man.
I love John Goodman, but Roseanne, I remember watching that. It was always on at times at Dad's house.
A horror movie. So Veronica was pretty good. It's on Netflix. I had to put one in there for Shannon. It was pretty good, but it's not horror. I watched Zach and Miri make a porno. I've never seen that before. It was pretty good.
That movie's so good.
Yeah.
Let me be your Sherpa. Let me be your Sherpa up the mountain.
So actually, yeah, I was.
What's your name? Well, my name's Brandon St. Randy.
Brandon St. Randy. Yeah, Justin Long is pretty hilarious in it.
Justin Long. I think that scene with Justin Long made the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
Period. I could just watch that scene and be fine with it. Your mother with her drinking and her makeup.
There's a lot of like Seth Rogen-ish stuff in it that isn't funny, where you're just like, okay, you're just talking.
Oh, yeah.
But then there is some really funny stuff. Then there is some really funny stuff. So
all the supporting characters, like Seth Rogen, to me, he didn't have to be in that movie, but the guy that plays Jason Mewes, the Dutch rudder.
Oh yeah.
The Dutch rudder. Come on,
that's where he is. I haven't seen him forever.
Yeah, he's like.
Yeah, see, now we're not.
That's where he is. This movie was back in like 2008 or something.
What's it called? Who makes a porno?
Zach and Miri make a porno.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, I put my hand on my dick and you move my arm and you put your hand on your dick and I'll move your arm. We'll double Dutch rudder. And it's not gay because we're not touching each other's dicks.
Yep.
It was great. I actually didn't recognize him.
Can I get a coffee black? Can't you see we're talking white?
I actually didn't recognize Jason Mewes with his like short ass hair, and I had to look him up after. I was like, I recognize him from somewhere. I don't know who that is. And I was like, I looked him up. I was like, duh.
Yeah. Because you just know him as Jay with the long hair.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's all I watched.
I didn't watch anything horror related. Liz and I are finishing up the Pirates of the Caribbean, so we watched Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides last night.
Did I watch it? I gotta look while Rob.
Which is kind of, it's just adventure. There's not really,
Do you watch anything, Rob?
Skeletons and dead pirates.
No. I didn't watch anything horror. The only thing that I watched that was actually surprisingly really good. Oh, no, I did. I did watch one thing horror. I watched that Mom and Dad with Nick Cage.
Oh, yeah, it looks good.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was so good. And then that inspired me to watch what I did watch, which I was really surprised I did really, really like it, was the Nick Cage, Elijah Wood movie, The Trust.
Oh, I've never seen that.
They rob a casino. They're two cops in Las Vegas. It is hilarious. It is so good. It's on Netflix. It's awesome.
I did watch The Temple. Or no, sorry, it's just called Temple. It's on Netflix.
I saw
Temple.
Saw the picture for it, but
it was okay. It was not the best. It was like it's not bad. Maybe watch it, but just know that it's all a build up and then the last, like everything that is scary or horror happens in the last 15 minutes, and not in a good way like Bone Tomahawk. It's just sort of like, okay,
Yeah.
meh. So yeah, that was. I think that's all I had. But
Cool.
yeah, well, awesome guys. Get those memes in. Follow us on Twitter at Danny Bonin, at Scotty Bonin, on Instagram too, at the Rob O'Neill 1986, or on Instagram at the Rob_CCH podcast, at CC Horror on Twitter, at Cult Classic Horror Facebook and Instagram. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Cult Classic Horror. We're actually, you may have noticed that you got an extra episode this last week. We did an interview about Ghost House on Netflix. We're actually going to start releasing all of our interviews as normal episodes instead of strictly on Patreon, just because we think it's really good content and more people should hear it. We can't force you to be on Patreon, so I guess we'll just give it to you for free. So we are reconstructing some things and going to be announcing what we're going to do for the $10 level in Patreon. We're going to do some different stuff there. So actually, probably we might release one interview per week until they're all of our backlog is released. So you might even get a couple oldies that, well, I don't know. I think actually they probably still all have all three of us on them. I think any ones that just me and Scotty did were already released as episodes in the beginning.
Yeah, with like the Evil Dead actors and stuff.
So I think they'll, and I'm not sure. I think we're just going to release them the same. We do have 2 interviews that Ty conducted by himself, so you might hear those too. You can hear good old Ty being a little bit shy on his interviews.
Don't be shy.
So yeah, keep an eye out for those. So that's not going to be a constant thing. It's not always going to be 2 episodes a week, but whenever we get an interview, we'll slip it in there in between episodes for you guys to check out. So yay for that. Look forward to that. Just probably be releasing one in a couple days here. Maybe Deborah Voorhees, because that one was never released, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe we'll start with that one next. Our past interview with Deborah Voorhees, the voted the best boobs in the Friday the 13th franchise.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, she's in what, part 5?
Yes.
Yes, part 5.
That's right.
Insane Asylum one. Well, not. I don't want to say Insane Asylum. Troubled Kids Home. Mm-hmm. That doesn't even have Jason in it. So.
Nope, it's the
Never
Revenge
seen
of
it.
Roy.
That's right.
Yeah. So, anyways, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, guys.
We'll catch you next week.
Later.
Don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Oh, yes. There will be blood.